I'm going to stop sharing now, and if you can please turn on your videos, and if you'd like to participate, turn on your mic, and we can all work together. How are you doing, Mike? Mike Quint from DTE is here with us. Thank you for joining us. Mike was one of the important elements of getting together the CQM community, and in November 2019, we got together in Wayne State, and he was a very important part of that discussion. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Mike, do you see the direction that we're taking for next year? What do you think about that? And do you have any suggestions for us of how we should?
Yeah, I've got a few thoughts as we're together as a team. I'd like to try to emphasize the value added for a good quality program. I've been working with DTE for 33 plus years, been in the nuclear world for a long time. And where quality is mandated by regulations, it is recepted a lot better than in our construction industry, where it truly isn't mandated by any regulations. So in my world now today, supervisor of a quality oversight group, I've got a team of 5 folks that go out to different construction sites, and our job is to verify the project is being built to the codes and the standards and the design. And as we find issues, they're not always well received, which is the way it is in the quality world. But if we can turn that around and show folks, you know, had you had a better quality program, you could have eliminated this many hours of rework, and this many hours of rework equates back to a definite dollar amount. And if you can show the teams the true benefit of doing it right the first time, and understanding the requirements of the design and the standards and the different codes that are out there, and let them know that they're cost effective to rework.
We have Chad Dorgan. He's from the Construction Quality Executive Council, and they have done a lot of good research and white papers on how to quantify and kind of put dollar sign and numbers to quality aspects of the project. Chad, can you elaborate a little bit more on that for our guests?
Good segue into Chad. Hi, Chad.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. Doing good. CQEC is made up of leaders in construction design. And for about 10 years, we've been tracking rework across the member companies and have about $500 million tracked right now. We estimate that's probably about 5% of the reality of it. But I think what's more important is by tracking and putting programs in place around building enclosure, concrete, you know, we've clearly documented at least $100 million of avoided cost by eliminating rework, just by putting quality first. And I think that's what's important, is you don't focus on the negative, you focus on, well, what did we avoid by doing this?
That's perfectly said. We also have Ed Caldeira is from FTQ2020, and he had good discussion about how we can use new technologies and use automation in order to keep track of these quality issues. Ed, would you like to say a few words for our guests?
Hi, I'm glad. First of all, thanks for putting this together and having us all here. It's great. I always love it when we have quality jocks getting together and talking some shop. But what I found is actually this value-added approach, and the dollars and the business end of quality is really the main thing that really helps it get traction. And for my experience is that if you tell someone about a study, it really doesn't hit home in a way that actually elicits action to it. And it's not really until people who are, based upon their own experience, go through like a little workshop-y sort of thing where they figure out, like on projects that they're running, how much these deficiencies and things that they see just as routine problems that they just punch out and find and fix every day, that how much of this is actually supported by the cost structure that adds absolutely no value to their project and costs them, manpower, materials, schedule time, and so really until they actually go and figure it out for themselves, they really don't do anything. And that's really the key.
That's the worst way to learn thing, is to experience it yourself and learn from your own mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really goes like, something along these lines, like, well, here's your staff, and you have different levels in the organization, and how many people do you have in these different positions, and how much of the time is spent dealing with avoidable issues. Avoidable issues. Sure. And the closer you get to the job site, the more of their time is actually spent on these avoidable issues. Sure. So aside from just like back charges and things like that, those are really easy, but it's really the tip of the iceberg. And it's not until you start dollarizing these like hidden costs that are just built into the budget that they begin to see what's actually going on with this. And then it's actually, if you end up doing that and you say like, superintendent, how much of their time does a superintendent on a project spend just dealing with avoidable issues?
Right. Sure. Well, as Gino mentioned in one of his discussions, the next century is the century for quality, right? Gino, you mentioned that in your talk, and actually, because I'm working as a business developer also with my doctorate in business administration, one of the discussions we have is that before people were looking into creating good quality products using the specifications, whatever. Now, as businesses are developing, they are looking into the experience they're giving their customers. So part of that good experience is having a good quality product that people feel satisfied after gaining from your services. Gino, can you elaborate more on that for us and our guests? Oh, you're muted, Gino.
Thank you, first of all, for having me with all these incredible experts that you have. I feel honored to be even thought of as an expert in this quality world. Actually, I stole that quote from one of our gurus, the quality gurus, Joseph Duran, who said that just like the 20th century was the century of productivity, the 21st century will be the century of quality. And I say that because think of somebody like Disney, where they give you an experience. So when you say, I say this to some people, customer service is dead. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And that's because customer service comes from the angle of there's a problem, something is wrong, and now you're reactive. Whereas customer experience, you are proactive. You're trying to give your client the best customer experience you can give. And I think that leads to repeat business, which is something that was just talked about. We focus a lot on the dollars and maybe on the schedule a little bit, but what about your reputation? Don't you get hired based on your reputation? Quality product, quality project equals a quality contractor. So you need to pay attention to quality from that standpoint. Thank you, Dr. Amati.
That was excellent. Thank you. Well, we have John Juris. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. John from Walbridge. Hi, how are you doing, John? Nice to see you again.
Good. You said that right, Jurowitz.
Jurowitz.
My wife is from Poland, and she would say Jurewicz, but.
Well, I'm glad that you could join us. I know we wanted to have you as one of our panelists for our BIM for CQM panel, but unfortunately we weren't able to make it. What do you think about our CQM community overall and how we can improve it, and what would you like to see for your organization and your people when they join a community like this, where professionals can talk and collaborate and mingle and maybe point out issues and concerns that they have in the industry? What direction would you think we should take for next year?
That's a pretty loaded question. I think that because I had just participated in a similar event at LCI, and we shared our presentations there. So I guess none of us is as smart as all of us. So if we can share case studies or lessons learned on how we're improving quality within our organizations, sharing maybe tips on how we've done things is probably what I would look for.
Sharing is very good. I mean, that's what we're doing here, is share best practices. I don't know if you saw the videos on our project control, and we had people from Barton Mello, and the most interesting part of it was JJ Parney. Actually, they came in from a subcontractor level, and using simple Excel files and stuff of how they keep track of their productivity and so forth. Although it was the most basic way of doing it, but the way that they got the same information, the same knowledge that they needed to improve themselves was amazing to me. So just sharing those best practices, it means that you don't have to have the expensive software to do this if you know exactly what you're looking for and what you're collecting and what you want to improve. So I wish to have topics suggested by you and other people from Wellbridge, because Wellbridge is one of our big supporters, like DTE, Barton Mello. But one thing that I was kind of concerned, and now I might point this question to Paige or Carolyn or even Rita if she's available. I see that her camera is off now. But one thing that I see is that the general contractors that are big and they're the leaders in our industry, usually they are kind of hesitant to be part of these meetings because they feel that they shouldn't share their secrets or they shouldn't share their knowledge with their competitors. The way we look at it in CQM is that if you share that information, I'll be working as your subcontractor in one project, you'll be working as a subcontractor to us in another. Like Barton Mello is actually our subcontractor now in Brinker when we work for DTE. But this whole working as a community together, I think, is the best way to improve the entire industry. I don't know, Paige, do you want to take that question and kind of poke at it, see what your ideas might be on that? Why do we have people hesitant about sharing information with others?
I think it kind of goes back, way back, where maybe some people in the past have had companies that had worked together or maybe helped build one another, and then they've kind of gotten burned in the long run. I think though now things are starting to change a little bit. I'm a subcontractor, and right now I'm working on a project with CCC that's also working with Wellbridge, and it seems like we're all working together because at the end of the day, it's to get the job done and to get it done properly and with safety. And now with COVID, because our company pivoted, we are an abatement company, and we pivoted to do the COVID cleaning. And that's kind of how I got involved with a lot of the projects that they're involved with right now. And but I think at the end of the day, everybody's learning from one another. I know I'm actually learning quite a bit from the general contractors. They've been very good at mentoring me. I work a lot for Detroit Edison, and you know, everybody wants to see people succeed. They want to keep this industry going. They want to bring new people into it. And I just feel that there's a need for all of us to come together. There's also a labor shortage in a lot of areas, so we have to work together.
Sure. And as you mentioned it beautifully, I mean, we are all working together now, and as we move forward in future with the integrated project delivery methods that a lot of owners are expecting from the construction industry, we need to learn how to work together as a team and try to share risks and try to to share rewards together. I'm not going to pick on the people that don't have their videos on. I mean, I'm just assuming that your video is off because you just want to listen. But I really like to have Dr. Usmen and Emra to speak up. Hello, Dr. Usmen. How are you?
I was just about to turn my video on.
Okay, good.
So,
Yeah.
quality to me is much newer than safety. I go back like 35 years with safety when everybody was complaining how bad it is, right? And those years, we discovered that Stanford actually did a study called Construction Industry Effectiveness Study, and they discovered that there's actually a quantitative way of looking at safety called experience modification factor. And today, there are a lot of people who think that there are a lot of problems with EMR. But at the time, it was like a magical thing that everybody said, okay, this is going to save us. And what that actually did was alert the owners that they're paying for poor safety. In other words, it's coming from their wherever, all right, their budget. And then, the Business Roundtable, which was actually the one that commissioned that study, published a series of pamphlets, one of which was on construction safety effectiveness. And then, more and more people started picking that up. And today, although we don't really have a perfect record of safety, especially in terms of fatalities, well, in terms of injuries, we have come down quite a bit. And really what has happened with fatalities is that they have remained more or less constant. And if you consider how more complicated, how more complex our projects have gotten, that's still not too bad an achievement. Well, I think we need something similar to that in safety. The leadership has to come from the top, like the CEOs of the companies. I'm talking about quality right now. They have to actually champion quality. And maybe a similar study on quality, although we have the ISOs and you name it. I mean, there's lots of information on quality, except I'm still trying to find a good book to use in an academic setting. All right, but certainly there's much that can still be done by the upper management, top management, in my opinion.
Yes, of course. Yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, we always need to sharpen our saw and get into those research studies and try to improve ourselves as time goes by and new information is available to us. Otherwise, we're just going to fall behind. So if you want to be the leader and pioneer in your industry, just hiding that information to yourself is not going to do any good. If you share it and you collaborate on it and build on top of each other's ideas, you can move much faster and ahead of the curve just by thinking blue ocean strategy in something that other people haven't thought about. Now, one thing that came to my mind actually over the course of past week is that we've been focusing more on our construction contractors and subcontractors side, maybe less on the owner side. What do you think if we invite owner sides, like DTE is considered like owner side, maybe Olympia or Illich Group or something like that? Do you think having the owner sides in these programs would benefit you and the community a little bit more? And should we do that for the next year?
Well, I certainly think so. I think they do. Owners have a national organization called CURT, C-U-R-T, and I'm sure that quality is on their agenda. And we just have to. I think like you're doing work for DTE, and we know a lot of DTE folks.
I wish Terlyn or Rita would also chip in on this topic. Terlyn, yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carolyn Buckles from Onyx Enterprise. We're a civil engineering firm here in Detroit. We're headquartered here in Detroit. And just this is my first call with your organization. So thank you for inviting me. I do want to add, I like the idea of having owners involved. I'm thinking particularly of Great Lakes Water Authority or, DWSD, or even MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation. Those are my clients. And particularly with MDOT, you have to submit a quality plan with your projects. For the proposal phase or project phase, it's very important to have a quality plan. And you are actually basically have a performance review based on that quality plan. So it's very important. And I would agree that we should tie quality with everything that we do and basically getting these projects. We have to look at their past performance. So yes, I definitely agree.
That's good. So, I mean, that's what we do as a community. I mean, we network with other people that think that they would benefit from a group like this. Hi, Talon. It's good to see you. So yeah, like I said, this group that we created under PMI GLC, it's not for profit. It's not anybody's affiliated, I guess, organization. It's open to anybody that wishes to use this platform to advocate quality and improvement in the construction industry. So that's a great point. Now, as we are coming to closing, I wish to introduce JP. JP is our new manager for corporate outreach. So she is going to help us with reaching out to you and to companies similar to yours for future events and inviting us. JP, would you like to say a few words for us?
Hi, it's nice to see everyone. I do have a question for all of you that's kind of, it's affiliated, but it's kind of off the beaten path. So I come from a background that is not construction. I come from events and hospitality, but I consult in a lot of situations where my input is asked for facility build outs, whether it's an event space or a catering space, kitchen space. Today, I was just asked, what would you include? What are the two most important things you would include in a kitchen build out? And he was thinking I was going to say, convection oven. And my first answer was HVAC that can support what you're doing. So my question right, not sexy at all in regard to the whole culinary world, but my question is, what do you recommend that someone such as myself, I do not have the background you do. My focus is not on the construction aspect. It is the actual user end of it. It's the user experience of it. But what are some tips that you can give to someone such as myself? Because there's people like us all over the state that are like, I don't know what to look for in regard to quality or safety, or what are those things, I know them in my own world. It's a common sense thing, but what are some tips you would give to someone who's involved in those build outs, but isn't really managing the construction portion of it?
I can answer that question. I just wanted to see if any of our guests would like to take a stab at it. If anybody wants to chip in.
Quality for the novice, anybody?
Well, I think that
go ahead, Jim.
that not knowing anything about quality, you don't have to be like really technical, but you're the user, so you know what you want, or you should know what you want as a defined scope. Therefore, your eye doesn't lie either. Your eye knows when something is not plumb, level, and square. Right. It'll tell. You'll see when a cut ceiling tile or a cut tile on the floor is wanky. It right. starts skinny and gets big. So you can spot those things without having a great technical knowledge.
Sure. And since this is your first meeting, then I agree with you that it's a little bit difficult to point those things out. But the first thing that we say in quality is, other than these industry standards that become our standards that we need to keep, owner expectation and what they want of that end product, that determines your quality standard. Like in PMP, when we talk about in the PMBOK, when we talk about quality, anything that you give to the owner over what they expected we call it gold plating, and gold plating is not allowed in PMI. So we ask our owners to tell us exactly what they want, and we give it to them. But again, having good reputation and having good company culture for quality means that you go above the industry standard. You go above what even the owner thinks is good, but you need to actually make sure that that's what they want. But you confirm it with them that, okay, if you want it this way, this is how I do it as a better quality product. Would you wish for this additional feature or additional spec? But again, specifications usually tell us what the quality should be. The industry standard tell us what the quality should be. But again, as a company, we develop our own quality standards. For example, when I did the Rotana Hotel, I don't know if you guys are aware how hotels work. The name of that hotel is a facility management company. The building is purchased or built by another entity. So usually they get a percentage of running that hotel with their name on that hotel. So Rotana has its own specification of exactly what they want, what they expect, and how big those restaurants should be, how many hotel rooms do they need in order to put a 4-star there or 5-star there. So those standards usually come from the owner, and a good owner that knows what exactly what they want has a better end product. I know John might have a few words on that topic if he wants to let us know what you think about JP's question. You're muted, John. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. I would share the same concerns. I think in listening to JP's question, as well as some of the inputs you guys have had, that it's really, and forgive me, I don't know if you guys have established like a library of lessons learned or some way of categorizing all this stuff, because that would be where I know within our own organization, we have the VAV and lessons learned, and we have a lady, Lashir Champion O'Neill, and she keeps track of all this and organizes it for the rest of us so that we can use it. And I keep thinking that, you know, rather than us just doing that amongst ourselves as one organization, if we were to do that as a more collaborative measure, all of us could really have a cool database to pull from. I think that would be very useful.
I think FTQ360 has a feature like that. I've seen their software actually with a demo. I don't know. Ed, do you want to mention a little bit about your software and how it collects those?
It's actually it's kind of interesting what happens when you start to use mobile technologies and cloud and data-oriented quality management systems. And if you actually view every deficiency as an opportunity to learn about something that was not right, that there's a lesson to be learned here, that if the field personnel actually use the application to communicate the deficiencies as a part of the normal workflows, then you are automatically collecting all the data about things that go wrong. And some are repetitive items and some are single instances, you know. So one you might consider like in a statistical way is like a special case and almost ignore it. And other ones might be have statistical history that says this is something that happens that, well, there's a lesson to be learned here because we know it's preventable. We know it's fixable, and maybe we should actually move upstream in our thinking to actually prevent these sort of things. And so then to use this data to set priorities for what lessons to be learned. And you also have, like, if you have as part of your corrective action process is, let's say you had a picture of it bad, and then when someone fixes it, they take a picture of it good, then you almost have like you've closed the loop on that one thing. So now you have, let's say, that's almost like a checkpoint on the checklist now, right? Like you would want to check on the next instance of that feature of work to make sure that that particular thing went right. And then if you use the learning that you had on when it went wrong, and you have pictures of it bad and good and all that sort of stuff, that if you want to make the person who's now doing that piece of work successful at getting it right the first time, they can learn from that lesson that you have. So it's the idea of lessons learned it's actually a business process. You know, it's not just a thing that happens like one time and, you know, someone has something really bad that they want to talk about. It's really like, you know what, we have so many lessons to learn. It's not a lack of lessons learned. It's the business process to deploy that so the organization learns from individuals who actually have have done the hard bit, and that is, you know, they've made it through that failure. And so how do we get to the point of using data to surface up the things and turn them into lessons learned and actually get them out there on a regular basis? Like,
so it's a learning organization. That's what we call a learning organization, is when you collect the data, you collect the lessons learned. Now you have to do something with it. Don't just collect it and keep it in a database.
And no one learns just one lesson. You know, it's like, this is when you have a lesson like every month, every 2 weeks. You know, every team has like in the trades, you know, every trade has their top 10 issues, right? And there's each one of those things there's lessons to be learned.
That's what we call our quality management. We call it risk-based quality management, meaning that we look at the high priority risks that our organization finds to be the most important ones to look at, and then we'll look at those. And this is going to be a basis for the AI, the artificial intelligence in future. I guess John is very active in BIM and VCD, and I think they're doing things like that in Walbridge, and I'm very excited to see Walbridge taking the lead on that. So hopefully we'll see some of that in future. Now, JP just asked a question that requires a separate discussion panel. Today's program wasn't supposed to be a very heavy kind of a technical or any particular topic. We just want.
Listen, I had everybody in the room, so I had to ask the question.
Sure, no problem. But like I said, I mean, we want to do this thing once a year as our construction quality week for next year. We're going to do again this thing hopefully for next year. We have guests from the owner side as well, and they can contribute more into it. I know Mike Quinn from DTE had to leave us a little bit early today, and we just said this 1 hour we get together. I know it's very short to meet once a year for 1 hour kind of thing, but we have other events in future, like every quarter, as I mentioned, and I wish to have the same thing after our main discussion panel. If you guys have topics, you have concerns, you have issues that you'd like to see the community to work on together, would love to hear about it, and especially that feedback, the survey that I sent you. If you send me your thoughts and ideas.
I'm sorry, Henny. I think you got this all wrong. I mean, you just weren't listening to what I just said, that learning is not just a once a year thing. Okay. So sure. I'll be waiting for next year, but I'm looking for more frequent than that.
No, yes, no. Like I mentioned, we have the quarterly meeting. It's just that, like I said, the community is always there. I mean, we're all connected on LinkedIn. We can always get together and discuss differently. Like what John was saying, I was actually in an LCI meeting this morning with they call it virtual coffee what a meeting or something they call it. So it was interesting. I mean, being part of these different organizations give you a different perspective on things and how you can collaborate with other like-minded people. So again, like I said, we wanted to finish this thing at 5:30. So it's the 3 minutes to 5:30. If anybody has any final marks or suggestions, here's the floor for you. Okay, I was hoping that Ed would turn on his video and talk to us a little bit. He's going to be our. Okay, sure.
Mike, you know, we're talking about construction quality, but we're not really talking a lot about design quality. And a lot of the problems in construction are rooted in design problems and lack of quality in design. And then there's always this talk about, okay, the owners don't really want to pay for paper or now electronic documents. You know, they want to pay for brick and mortar. Right? But so we have to get a few designers in here.
Sure, that's a good idea.
Opinions on, you know, what it means to them to really have good design versus not so good design, and maybe even a dialogue between the designers and the constructors, that
Sure.
they can speak to each other a little bit about those.
Sounds good. We'll do that, Dr. Usmen. And again, like I said, I'm sorry this meeting fell on a Friday close to the Thanksgiving holiday, and a lot of our friends, Dr. Al-Bayari, he emailed me. He said he couldn't make it. Haytham emailed me. He said he couldn't make it. But a lot of friends also mentioned, like I know we had a few people from Newman Smith that were interested to show up, but I guess the timing didn't work. So that's a lessons learned for me, not to put any meetings on Fridays anymore. So Friday afternoon is the worst day to put a meeting. But anyway, thank you very much all for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you in our next event, and we'll see how it goes for next year, the CQM community. Appreciate it. Appreciate you joining us. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dr. Ahmadi. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
take care. Bye now.